Cycle time reduction is one of my favorite projects to work on because it involves looking at all of the various aspects of the process of a setup or a shutdown or a daily preventive maintenance, so that you're uncovering a lot of skeletons in closets perhaps, but what you're doing is looking at how things are done, in what sequence, who's doing them, and what are the inefficiencies that are taking place. One of the things that we start with is to first take a motion and time study and document what the current situation is that the operator and he or she has an assistant to identify each element of the work that they do, the cycle time to do that element, and then after we have completed the study and start to do our analysis work, we want to identify which elements of that process can be done beforehand, meaning be done external to the startup or the changeover, and which elements have to be done when that equipment is down. The objective, of course, is to reduce the number of minutes that the equipment is down out of service and not generating production. So the first step after we have done all of the time study is to look at what things, first of all, can be totally eliminated. They don't need to be a part of the process whatsoever. I told you about which is external, which is internal. That's very important also. And also to look at how each element of the process is done. Is the right tool done? Is the right person doing that work? Are things in order for that particular element to be done efficiently? Oftentimes they're not. We see where the wrong tool is being used. We see that there's excessive work that is unnecessary, where you have, let's say as an example, 10 bolts to remove from a cover of a box, and it takes them several minutes just to get those bolts off. They do the cleaning inside the box, then have to put the cover back on with all 10 bolts, and they're using an Allen wrench in the meantime. Whereas if you eliminate 6 out of the 10 bolts in the first place and use wing nuts in the 4 corners, then no tool is required. You simplified the process and also reduce the cycle time. So that's an example, if you will, of an element that just took way too long, and there had to be a better method. So that's what we identified. Also is very critical is to see if a helper is available to assist the key operator in the changeover or the startup or the daily preventive maintenance. And is the helper doing what is best suited to reduce the overall cycle time of the process? So going back to the elements of the time study, we look at what elements must the key operator do himself or herself, and what can be given to an assistant, if you will. Following this process, the results from our experience has been a 50% reduction in the cycle time in the first pass, which is very, very significant. When you think about a process that may take several minutes, maybe 84 minutes to start with, as an example, and you've gone through, like I said, and you have eliminated unnecessary tasks, such as searching for an item, traveling long distance to find an item, asking for instructions, etc. You eliminate those kinds of things. And then you have also identified what can be done externally to the process, maybe ahead of time, getting better prepared. And you've also simplified some of the tasks by making them easier to perform with much less effort, and maybe eliminated the need to use any tooling whatsoever. After you've done all of that and assigned whatever you could to the helper, a 50% reduction. Another tool that we use in the cycle time reduction for setup, changeover, or daily preventive maintenance is to videotape. I cannot tell you how effective videotaping, or video recording I should say, is in terms of identifying all of the little things that most people are blind to as they look for improvement opportunities. And the video is an excellent way of confirming your data, confirming what your findings and your recommendations are. So very definitely, as a part of the documenting of the current process, video recording should be one of the first things you do. After you have completed all of the study, all of the analysis, you prepare your recommendations, you look at where you were, let's say at 84 minutes like I said earlier, and now you're expecting a 50% reduction, which is about 42 minutes. Determine what the value is of that added time, from increased production time, increased daily throughput, reduction in overtime, etc. It's very important that that part of the analysis is completed so that you know the cost that you invested to get the study done. You identify what the benefits are as well as the savings. So then that gives you the ammunition, so to speak, to go to the decision makers and make your recommendations happen. The process is ongoing. I highly recommend that in the first pass, like I have mentioned to you, there should be no need for any major capital investment or major expenses, because what you're focusing on is reducing the non-value-added tasks that are taking place currently, get rid of those, and emphasizing more on the value-added steps. And that will bring you a significant harvest right away without spending a large amount of money. Try it. See what you think. Let me know what you find out. Talk to you later.